Good evening, you're watching Estuary News, I'm Hugh Riches. Coming up tonight, jobs at risk in a Grimsby fish factory, train workers and bin men on strike in Hull, and pen pals for Beverley from Thailand. And later in tonight's programme, Fred brings us cultural news from across our region, and before that, Sam Bartle on a new project that will illuminate Beverley's shipping heritage. The five-star fish factory in Grimsby is set to close, putting 390 jobs at risk. The factory will close after the loss of a Marks & Spencer contract. Young Seafood has said it'll step in to try to salvage the contract and replace the jobs. Grimsby MP Melanie On responded to the news of the company's closure, saying that she hoped that contracts owned by the company can be kept locally. Humberside Police has released an e-fit of a man suspected of the attempted abduction of a 16-year-old girl. It happened on Wednesday, the 21st of March, at around 8:20 in the morning in the North Sea Lane area of Humberston, near Grimsby. The girl was approached by a man on crutches who tried to push her towards a small white van. She managed to escape and was left shaken but unharmed. Humberside Police are asking for anyone with information to ring 101, quoting crime reference 16/34589/18. A Bridlington man has been given an 18-month suspended sentence for being in possession of fake ID documents and dealing in counterfeit clothing. Darren Anthony Scott was sentenced at Hull Crown Court today after pleading guilty at a previous hearing. Investigations by East Riding of Yorkshire Council's Trading Standards officers revealed a network of sellers on eBay, all of whom were linked to Scott. Inquiries revealed the various vendors used non-existent addresses and false names to make it difficult for the authorities to discover their true identity. In March 2017, Trading Standards officers executed a warrant at Scott's home. The operation discovered a considerable amount of counterfeit clothing, including coats, T-shirts, hooded tops and sweatshirts, predominantly marked with Abercrombie and Fitch branding. Scott was ordered to pay £1,000 and carry out 120 hours of unpaid work. Strike action by the RMT union continues today, affecting services on northern trains. Workers walked out for a second time this week over a dispute about removing guards from trains. Services in Yorkshire and Lincolnshire are affected by the strike action. Some bus replacements are being made available. And in other strike news, Unison members at Hull Waste Contractors FCC are on industrial action. The strike is to last for 2 weeks over sick pay and raising wages to the national living wage. The Wilmington and Driffield waste recycling plants will be hit. Hull City Council has confirmed that bin collections will continue as normal. The council also said it's working with both parties to resolve the issue. North Lincolnshire Council's Highways team has filled in 1,570 potholes over the last 3 weeks. The A15 was one of the many roads repaired as part of a £49 million investment over the next 4 years. This is in addition to the £1.1 million from the government's Pothole Challenge Fund. More potholes will be tackled from next week. The next areas to be fixed are Barton, Winterton Road, Warren Road, Lincoln Garden Estate, Bottisford, Kermington and Crosby. Today marks the 15th anniversary of the opening of Hull Women and Children's Hospital. It opened back in 2013, centralising maternity and women's health services in Hull and the East Riding. Since the 29th of March 2003, 80,202 babies have been born, probably more by the end of this programme, including 1 set of quads, 11 sets of triplets and 1,163 sets of twins. To mark the anniversary, a display charting the evolution of maternity and women's health services in the city has been set up in the hospital foyer. Archivist Mike Pearson, who collated the material, explains.
We're celebrating today the 15th anniversary of when the maternity services from both Castle Hill and Eden Road Maternity Hospital moved to the Hull Royal Infirmary site. It opened slightly early for outpatients, but 29th was the day really when all maternity services were centred here. Well, we're looking today at this permanent display, which is always here anyway, which basically gives a history of the maternity hospitals in the area, right up to Bridlington and across to Beverley and such like that. And then, of course, we've got these two added displays, which one celebrates the 15 years, the construction and opening of it, and then the other side is the official opening with Sherry Blair. Well, I was always interested in history anyway, you know, and I wasn't particularly interested in hospital history when I first started here in 1990, but, you know, it sort of grew on me in the end, and it seems to have overtaken the situation now. I'm hoping it'll inform the people, perhaps more the staff even, you know, but I'm going to keep it up for a couple of weeks. Anyway, this new part, and this part will stay here.
4 people have been prosecuted for climbing the Humber Bridge without permission. The Humber Bridge Board took legal action against Jay Swingler, Axel Grassi Havanen, Peter George Taylor and Jessel Parsherton. The hearings took place at Hull Magistrates Court. None of the defendants appeared. Swingle and Grassi Haven climbed the bridge on the 26th of July last year. Taylor and Parsherton climbed on the 1st of August. Swingler and Grassi Havanen both pleaded guilty to trespass. Swingler was fined £135 in order to pay costs of £125 plus a victim surcharge of £30. Grassi Havanen was fined £100, ordered to pay costs of £125 and a victim surcharge of £30. Taylor and Parsherton were each fined £235 in order to pay costs of £125 and a victim surcharge of £30. A new major pipeline could be built in Lincolnshire to improve the county's water supplies. Anglian Water's proposal includes an £800 million scheme to reduce the risk of drought. The utility company said it would form part of a strategic grid of new pipes to move drinking water around the region. In 2011, a drought was declared in the county and restrictions put in place on water usage. If the pipeline is approved, it would run from Elsham's water treatment works near Scunthorpe down to the south of Lincolnshire. The firm has begun a public consultation about the plans, and if given the go-ahead, work is expected to begin on the pipeline in 2020. The pilot of a Red Arrows jet which crashed and killed the plane's engineer has been discharged from hospital. The display team is based at RAF Scampton in Lincolnshire. Flight Lieutenant David Stark suffered non-life-threatening injuries after ejecting from the plane before the crash. Corporal Jonathan Bayliss, the engineer, died when the jet crashed at RAF Valley on the 20th of March. The cause of the crash is still under investigation. Now, I'm joined now by Sam Bartle of East Riding Archives to talk about a new project which will publicise and illuminate Beverley's shipping heritage. Sam, welcome. Thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you very much, Hugh.
So what are you doing with this archive?
Well, basically, we've got a £30,000 grant from the Heritage Lottery Fund for a project called Trawling Through Time, which is all about telling the story of a local Beverley shipbuilders called Cook, Welton and Gemmell, who were instrumental in serving the fishing industry in Hull and Grimsby and beyond, particularly through the 20th century. And we've got a collection of archives here at East Riding Archives, which show the trawler plans, the technical drawings that were done by the Beverley shipyard. And we basically want to bring that to a mainstream audience in order to allow the public to enjoy the heritage.
And how are you doing that?
We have plans to catalogue some of it and also to digitise a number of the general arrangement plans. But of course we need to enlist the help of the general public and have volunteers to come on board, as it were, and help us to do that.
Well, let's just show off one of these blueprints to start before we go any further. If you unroll it towards
Certainly,
you, we'll be able to unroll the whole thing.
No, these are about, on average, about 1 metre in length, so they're really large plans.
Incredibly detailed drawings of the ships, of the designs of the trawlers. Which one is this? Which ship is this?
This particular one is of the Arctic Corsair, which was one of the last of the sidewinders to be built in 1960, and of course now is a museum in Hull.
I think we'll hear more of her in the second half, as a matter of fact. Beautiful things, incredibly utilitarian and useful, of course, but that, I suppose, is what it makes them also so beautiful and utterly incomprehensible to me.
Yeah, I mean, these are the actual technical plans that were used to construct the trawlers themselves at the time. I
think we've got some pictures of the trawlers as they're being built and of the construction. There's the construction works at Beverley. And, of course, it's the River Hull at Beverley, which is quite narrow, so you can't launch them stern on. You have to
Yeah.
launch them down the slipway sideways like that, which strikes me as an incredibly dramatic, dangerous operation. And there are some of the people who are doing the work.
Absolutely, yeah.
Fascinating process. If people want to come and help with sorting out this archive, how
Yeah.
can they get in contact with you?
They can either visit the Do It website, which is a volunteer recruitment website. That's doit.org. Or if they just email our service directly, which is archives.service@eastriding, that's all one word, lowercase, .gov.uk, then we can give them more information.
And once that cataloguing and archiving is complete, how can the rest of us come and enjoy it?
Well, I should say, first of all, we're really pleased to be teaming up with yourselves at Estuary TV.
Well, we're going to be making
to have a documentary made,
yes.
which is one way of bringing it to a mainstream audience, but also we're going to have the Fishing Heritage Centre at Grimsby and the SS Great Britain in Bristol are both going to host a couple of talks by Dr. Rob Robinson and our own Dr. Alex Ombler, who are both experts in maritime history. So we're going to have talks there about the story of Cookwelton and Gemmell, and a digital interactive display that showcases the work of the volunteers.
Sam, brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and thanks for bringing on the blueprint.
No, you're welcome.
Join me after the break. Jack will bring us interviews with Scunthorpe's interim manager Nick Dawes and Grimsby manager Michael Jolly in the sports, and Fred McNamara brings us the latest culture news from all around the region. Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News. Still to come tonight, Jack brings us interviews with Scunthorpe's interim manager Nick Dawes and Grimsby manager Michael Jolly in sports. And I'll be joined by Fred McNamara, who brings us the region's cultural news. Beverley and Holderness MP Graham Stewart has praised the government's commitment to local health services. This comes after the government announced 1,500 new medical school places in the county. 90 new places will be made available to students of Hull York Medical School between now and 2021. Medical schools are being advised to work locally to encourage applicants from the most disadvantaged backgrounds to ensure that the NHS's future workforce reflects the society it serves. Hull's last surviving Sidewinder fishing trawler has opened to the public for the season, and we saw pictures of her blueprints a little while ago. Visitors can experience a guided tour of the Arctic Corsair before she goes into temporary storage later this year. Free tours run every Wednesday and Saturday between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. and every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. The vessel will be restored later in the year as part of the £27 million programme Hull, Yorkshire's Maritime City. The Old Schoolhouse Care Home in Beverley is launching a new pen pal scheme. The home cares for people living with advanced dementia and already has a pen pal scheme with its neighbouring primary school. However, this new pen pal scheme connects the home's residents with people in Thailand. The care home's activities coordinator says the benefits of maintaining a relationship with someone through the scheme are rewarding.
But a lot of our service users have children who live abroad, and so for us to feel more connected to one another, and for our service users' family to feel that they're, connecting with their family, and they're sending us postcards from where they live. So lots of really lovely sort of interactions, very traditional, the people who live here with us are of a generation before email, so it's really nice to have a little handwritten letter from a member of your family. But in addition to that, we've got a really cool multicultural staff here at the Old Schoolhouse. One of my colleagues is from Thailand, and when she went back to her primary school in Thailand, she took with her some toys from us here at the Old Schoolhouse, and we got a wave of beautiful postcards from the children at her local primary school thanking us for the things that we'd sent to them. So we're making this little nice intergenerational, international connections with people. Well, the idea is so that you have something nice and fresh to talk to service users about. It might be a note from their child, from their grandchildren, or it might be something sort of more community-based, so from the local primary school. It's just a little thing to initiate a conversation about, here's a little picture from Beverley, and do you remember going to such and such a place, or what were your school days like? And it's a conversation starter, basically, and reminiscing. Also, a lot of our service users used to travel a lot, and so having these international postcards is really nice.
Plans to extract 5 million tonnes of limestone from land in Lincolnshire have been dismissed by the government. Lincolnshire County Council initially rejected a proposal from McClure Limited to create a 250-acre quarry and landfill site near Grantham. McClure appealed the decision. The company's proposal claimed the quarry would boost the local economy by £2.5 million each year and create 30 full-time jobs. Government Inspector Melvin Middleton has now ruled there is no immediate justification for the quarry or landfill. Britain's two oldest men share their 110th birthday today. Alfred Smith from Perthshire and Robert Wayton from Hull were born on the 29th of March 1908. Robert, who now lives in Hampshire, says that he's done nothing to deserve or achieve this age. He's just been lucky to live this long. Now I'm joined by Fred McNamara, in this context our very own Fred, for the latest cultural news across the region. Fred, what have you got for us?
Well, Hugh, thank you for having me once again.
Always very good to see you.
Thank you. Well, first of all, we're steaming into Easter with the Lincolnshire Wolds Railway with their Easter Cracker, which is a series of events across these next 4 days, the Easter holidays, where families can come along and just enjoy the Wolds Railway and various family activities.
And if the weather's any good, it's beautiful, and if the weather's not very good, you're still inside.
So it's a win-win, really, isn't it?
Where should people be if they want to enjoy that?
They should be just outside Fulstow. It's just outside Louth as well. It's about 10 minutes from Louth. But if you go online, type in Lincolnshire Wolds Railway, you'll find all the details there. And this news, that's actually quite timely news, because this event they're putting on, it's actually the first time that they've stayed open for all 4 days of the Easter holidays. And also, these guys are on a mission to extend the track back towards Louth, where, of course, originally ran to. And earlier this year, they've erected a fence and cleared much of the pathway that leads to the neighbouring road that takes it back to Louth.
Brilliant work on the railways there. Hull Truck, I think, there's a production going on there.
Hull Truck, yes, there is a youth-orientated production going on, a team-up between Hull Truck Youth Theatre's 16-plus groups, award-winning playwright Josh Overton and award-winning company Silent Uproar are putting on something called Human Electric Tree, a play designed to celebrate the youth of Hull, the diversity and the youth of Hull, and also look ahead to this very youth-orientated future of Hull and how young people can just get that creative energy in Hull, keep it alive, really. And
have a little individuality rather than just being programmed from youth into being what other people expect.
And that's really what the play is about, really. So if you want to find out...
What are the dates of that at the Hull
Dates of that play is running from the 5th of April, Thursday 5th of April, to Saturday the 7th of April. And you can, of course, find out more on Hull Truck Theatre's
usual
website.
Box office arrangements. Thank you very much, Fred.
Thank you,
We'll
Hugh.
stop there because it's time for the sports with Jack.
We'll begin with Rugby League as the Hull Derby returns to Super League tomorrow. Hull Kingston Rovers host bitter rivals Hull FC at KCOM Craven Park for the first time since their promotion back to the top tier. Rovers confirmed in a tweet that this game is close to a sellout, with over 11,000 tickets already sold ahead of the big Derby clash. The club has already set its sights on breaking the current record for a Derby attendance at Craven Park, which currently stands at 11,350. Kick-off takes place at the earlier than usual time of 12:50. Onto the Championship now, where a familiar face is set to return to the KCOM Stadium on Saturday. Former Hull City head coach Steve Bruce brings his Aston Villa side to East Yorkshire, hoping to upset his old club. Bruce spent a successful 4 years at the Tigers, twice guiding the club to promotion to the Premier League, as well as finishing FA Cup runners-up in 2014. He was a popular figure among the City faithful and should expect to receive a warm welcome from the fans on Saturday. Evandro and Moses Adebayo once again miss out after suffering setbacks in their recoveries. Stephen Kingsley is progressing well but also misses out on the game. Kick-off for that one is at 5:30 p.m. In League One, a new Scunthorpe interim manager, Nick Dawes, is preparing for his first game in charge. The Iron travel to face Oxford tomorrow, looking to register a first victory since the 13th of February. Working alongside Dawes will be former Hull City defender Andy Dawson, and the pair also took the reins in 2016 following the sacking of Mark Robbins. I caught up with Nick Dawes and asked him whether he was confident of turning the club's recent fortunes around.
We've not got into the position that we've got in just by luck or a fluke, or that we've got here by meticulous preparation, by recruiting talented players, by recruiting a team of players that show the determination to get there, to go in, week out, day out, and do the right things on the training pitch to give yourself the best chance of achieving a result. And unfortunately, sometimes over the course of a season, that goes against you. At times, unfortunately for us, over recent times, that's gone against us, more often than it's gone for us. So the confidence we can get from that is that we're hopefully only a small amount of whatever it might be from changing that into a win.
And finally, in League Two, the games are running out for Grimsby Town as they look to fight off relegation to non-league. The Mariners welcome Stevenage to Blundell Park, looking to find a first win in 18 games, a terrible run stretching back to the 9th of December last year. Town manager Michael Jolly is yet to taste victory in his 4 games so far. He said he's not underestimating tomorrow's opponents.
Well, we've done our analysis on Stevenage, and they're a good side. They've had some good results this season. Their front two are well established and work very hard, and that sets them off from the top end of the pitch. Obviously, Dino Mamry's gone in there as a new manager, and he'll have his own ideas on how to set them up. And much like myself, he's gone in there, and he'll be trying to have an impact very quickly. So we expect a tough match, but it's the kind of match that we want. It's a home match, and we want to play on the front foot and try and get the win.
Kick-off of that one is at 3 p.m. tomorrow at Blundell Park. And that's all for today's sport. Back to Hugh in the studio.
Thanks very much, Jack. That's it for tonight. I'm afraid if you've a story for us or any other reason to contact us, please do so via Facebook or Twitter, as displayed below me, or email news@estuary.tv, or phone Grimsby 01472315553. Write to us at Estuary TV, Nuns Corner, Laceby Road, Grimsby, North East Lincolnshire, DN34 5BQ. Until tomorrow, from all of us here, good evening.